Imagine if suddenly your city froze, the temperature dropped by 80 degrees Celsius, and over 90% of the world's population died frozen. After weeks of freezing, those who survived in their homes have water and electricity cut off. With nothing to eat and no way to stay warm, everyone starves. Our protagonist is the only one who prepared for the end of the world and has a comfortable life. And for those who can afford his price, he can provide a little food. His price is steep.
Yeah, boy.
But not everything started well. The truth is, in the year 2050, a star explosion caused Earth to enter an ice age. Zhang Yi worked at a Walmart warehouse and thus managed to stockpile a lot of food. In the apocalypse, the girl he liked broke into his house with a group of neighbors and stole Al his food. She admits she tricked him into opening the door. On his deathbed, Zhang Yi swore that if he could find her in hell, he would get his revenge. For some reason, he returns 3 months back in time before everything happened. Surprised, he swears not to be a sucker for the girl anymore, to take revenge on those who deserve it, and to see his neighbors suffer, and to enjoy it as well. There are 3 months left until the extreme cold arrives. His priority is to stockpile everything he needs before the end of the world and build a safe house. As he pondered how to start his plan, a bright light passes through his eyes, and, instead of blindness, he discovers he can send things to a different dimension, like a game inventory. His idea is to accumulate here an entire supermarket of food, so he never has to worry about food and drink for years. Thinking about all the good food he won't be able to eat in 3 months, Zhang Yi goes to a luxury restaurant to stuff himself, spends 50,000 Korean wons, and puts it all on his credit card because in 3 months, all his problems will be over. The girl Fang Yuqing, whom he had been in love with for years and never got anywhere with, and who betrayed him in his past life, along with her friend, sees that he went to a luxury restaurant. Her friend says she's lucky because this loser does everything for her, and he must be rich now. Fang Yuqing, in my last life, pretended to be innocent and virginal, and in the end, stole everything I had, even your arms. Right now, I want to kill that bitch right here, but that would land me in jail. I have to wait until the end of the world to do something. Zhang Yi flashes his bank card and asks, "Do you want to go shopping at the supermarket?" He uses them both to carry everything and show that he now has money, and they accept happily in hopes of making some profit. They ask, "Why so much food?" And the protagonist says, "You never know when an apocalypse might happen, and it's good to be prepared." The two opportunists complain that he's not carrying anything and that they're doing him a big favor. Now Zhang Yi owes them a luxurious dinner like the one he had before. Laughing coldly inside, Zhang Yi looks forward to the time when it's his turn to treat them very well. "I'm looking forward to that too." At the market exit, his Aunt Lin with her grandson says, "You can't eat all of that alone. Give some to your aunt." After saying this, the 5-year-old grandson steals his shopping cart. Zhang Yi takes it back. "Sorry, I'll eat it all by myself." The child starts throwing a tantrum, cursing at Zhang Yi. "I'll punch your teeth out if you keep this up." The kid starts crying immediately. Aunt Lin asks what he's doing, an adult fighting with a child, and says she'll buy the chocolate. She'll transfer the money later. He shows his QR code and says not later, now his old lady, pass it over now or go to the market to buy it. He leaves, leaving Aunt Lin angry. Arriving home, Fang Yuqing winked at him, and the two told him not to forget about them. "I slammed the door in those bitches' faces." After sending the two away, Zhang Yi put Al the purchased food in storage space to see if it spoils over time. He still has a lot to do, building an impenetrable fortress with heating devices and medical supplies. It would also be great if he could get some weapons. There are 3 months left until the Ice Age. By then, he has to sell everything he has as quickly as possible and get more. The next day, looking at the storage space, he checks the freshness of the food and discovers that living creatures cannot be stored, but the food remains as fresh as when he stored it. Knowing this, Zhang Yi picked up his phone and contacted the best local restaurant, ordering 500 full meals for delivery. He explained that he would be hosting a 3-day, 3-night feast, so he needed so much food. His next step was to find his property deed and go to the bank to mortgage his apartment. Considering that after the apocalypse, money would become worthless paper, Zhang Yi decided to take out a loan with his apartment as collateral. In 3 months, he would make the payment for this loan. The manager warned that the interest rate would be a bit high, but upon hearing this, Zhang Yi rubbed his hands together, indicating that it didn't matter if the interest rates were high. He got 9 mil ion and would pay 30 mil ion in 3 months or lose his house and car. Next, he went to the best security company. A business manager approached and asked if he needed help. Zhang Yi shared his idea of building a safe house for the apocalypse. The business manager presented various plans for the protagonist to choose from, but he was not satisfied with the ones presented. He declared that the house should be reinforced with aviation materials. The balcony should use bullet-proof glass, in addition to adding an air filtration system and and a 360-degree blind spot-free monitoring system. The front door should be made of the same material as bank vault doors. Additional why, he asked the manager to find a way to obtain some weapons. The business manager was surprised by these renovations and the need for weapons. He could get everything except the weapons. Zhang Yi concluded that this would turn the house into a fortress. The final plan cost 8 mil ion, and after paying the deposit, he asked them to start the work immediately. Next, he needed to obtain some weapons for self-defense. He called the owner of a hunting club and managed to get some crossbows as weapons. As soon as he returned home, the 500 full meals he had ordered also arrived on several trucks. This caught the attention of many people in the neighborhood, as they were delivery trucks from a 5-star hotel, which would cost at least 1 mil ion or so. After some time, Zhang Yi's house was filled. Wasting no time, he put everything into storage space. Basically why, he wouldn't need to worry about food for years of his life. The next day, the security company workers came to start building the safe house. This scene attracted the attention of many neighbors, who mocked Zhang Yi, asking if he had taken the wrong medication. However, he didn't care because he believed that when the end came, they would find out who was the joke. Next, Zhang Yi went to the manager of the company where he works and bought a portion of the medicine supplies, offering double the market price to have priority to buy everything, even what was already sold to other companies. Then, he transported these things home, little by little. His recent stockpiling activities also caught the attention of Fang Yuqing, who asked if something was about to happen, mentioning that she had been thinking a lot about him recently. The protagonist didn't want to respond to Fang Yuqing's fake concern, leaving her angry. Zhang Yi, the suck-up who used to do everything she asked, suddenly started ignoring her. His best friend simply laughed at the situation. She stated that if something big was happening, the country would definitely notify everyone. All she has to do is win over the nouveau riche Zhang Yi, so they can benefit. After weeks, Zhang Yi's safe house was successfully built. The company also installed surveillance systems on every floor of the building. Zhang Yi was very pleased with the service. Now only one last batch of supplies was about to arrive. Several trucks of drinking water arrived successively. One of the delivery drivers was his Uncle Yu, who lives in his neighborhood. He seemed curious as to why his nephew ordered so many gallons of drinking water. In his past life, Uncle Yu was one of the few good people to Zhang Yi, so he whispered to his uncle, "The weather this year is going to be very cold. You should stock up on supplies to prepare as soon as possible." Hearing this, Uncle Yu didn't want to believe, but upon seeing Zhang Yi's serious face, he couldn't help but take it seriously. "Get back to work, you lazy bum." In the following weeks, Zhang Yi spent his days spending his money, stocking up more and more supplies, and training with the bow and arrow every day. With only 3 days left until the extreme cold, the weather was already abnormal. The final moment arrived. Zhang Yi, at his job, where he is the stock supervisor, made tea and invited his colleagues for a drink. After they drank, an hour later, they all passed out. After turning off the surveillance cameras, it's his time to calmly steal the resources from the Walmart warehouse: fuel, food, and equipment. He quickly empties the warehouse. One of the boxes caught his attention: cold resistance equipment that had recently been purchased by the company. They could withstand temperatures of -100 degrees. To complete his perfect plan, Zhang Yi also took a special sleeping tea and joined his colleagues. 2 hours later, he is awakened by his employee saying they are screwed, the warehouse was robbed, they took everything. Upon hearing this, he pretends to be surprised. How did all the warehouse products disappear? The manager calls him asking about the warehouse supplies theft. Knowing that the entire warehouse was emptied at once without leaving any clues, and even the cameras didn't see, the manager immediately accuses the supervisor of planning this crime with more people. Zhang Yi, nervously smiling, says he's not competent enough for that. Everyone is taken to the police station to give statements, but nothing is found out. How could they find out that the warehouse was teleported? After the interrogation, the police officer says not to leave the city under any circumstances, as everyone is a suspect. Maliciously, Zhang Yi says he won't even leave the house. This incident on December 10th made news in the city. No one can believe that tons of supplies disappeared without a trace in less than 3 hours. It was also on this day that heavy snowfall began in the sky. Zhang Yi knew this was the beginning of the cold apocalypse. 3 days later at home, when the shockwave from a supernova explosion brings catastrophe to the entire planet, the temperature starts dropping rapidly overnight. Looking at the heavy snow through the window, Zhang Yi says that this time the story will be different. The people in the apartment owners group were nervous, as it was the first time they had seen so much snow in the city. Observing everything in the building group, Zhang Yi knows that for many people, this was the first and also the last time they saw snow. In his past life, the heavy snowstorm lasted for 3 whole months and the temperature kept dropping, causing many people who had not stocked up on food beforehand to freeze to death. On the second day of freezing weather, the heavy snow at the residential area entrance had already accumulated to a height of 1 meter. Even if people turned the heater to the maximum, they still trembled from the cold inside the house. However, Zhang Yi, who had prepared several pieces of heating equipment beforehand, was comfortably warm and comfortable. After a good sleep, Zhang Yi was awakened by the noise of the phone. It was a call from the naughty Yu Qing asking if Zhang Yi knew about the temperature drop when he stocked up supplies every day in the last few months, and why he didn't even inform her, who likes him so much. Now she's freezing cold and eating instant noodles. Hearing this, Zhang Yi laughed and hung up the phone on her face. The damn girl got angry on the other side. She then shamelessly sent a text asking for food, and it wasn't even that way. Reading the message, Zhang Yi decided to troll a bit. He sent her a photo of a steak with wine, which she immediately recognized as top-quality Wagyu and a very expensive French wine. At that moment, the urge to have some became strong, and he asked her to eat it with him and drink wine too. Zhang Yi's response was, if she wanted, she could go to the market and buy it herself. Despite her anger, she calmed down, because she needed to please Zhang Yi to be able to go to his place too. After that, he just ignored her and went back to enjoying his meal. It was then that on the building's surveillance cameras on the iPad screen, he saw the show, Aunt Lin, who was the building manager, saying not to panic and not to fight over food. The extreme weather would last at most 2 or 3 days, and the neighborhood committee would help everyone through this. Aunt Lin warned that excessive hoarding of supplies is prohibited and would be reported to the authorities if discovered. However, one person spoke out against it, questioning how she could be sure that the heavy snowfall wouldn't last long. The surrounding residents also wanted to know, stating that if they didn't stock up on supplies now, Aunt Lin would be responsible if they ran out of food. Aunt Lin then stated that the neighborhood committee would take responsibility for this issue, then pointed to Zhang Yi to divert attention just to tell him not to cause trouble. He didn't care about the threats and went back to his super safe house. A week passed and the snow outside kept falling. Aunt Lin asked the building group for Zhang Yi, who is young, to clear the snow from the building's door. He says it's useless to clear because it would be like trying to dry a river with a bucket. By refusing Aunt Lin's request to clear the snow, Zhang Yi suggested she ask the rich people in the neighborhood for help. She was furious and clearly just trying to pick a fight. Angrily, she said that on behalf of the neighborhood committee, this is an order, and whoever opposes the orders will be blamed by the neighborhood committee for the problems. Questioning why Aunt Lin didn't call the rich people in the neighborhood to do the heavy lifting, he proposed that Aunt Lin ask Chen Zheng how to clear the snow. Chen Zheng is a construction boss. He has employees for that, and Xing Song is a rich guy and can afford to pay if he doesn't want to help like everyone else. The authority of Tia Lin in the group was shattered, and upon reading the messages, Lin, cursing, decided to call both members of the group to clean the snow together, tagging them in the chat. Upon seeing the message, Chen Zheng immediately got angry with Tia Lin and with Zhang Yi for acting as if he owned the place. Xing Song sent an audio message in the group saying he was busy working hard and sent a photo to show how busy he was. Tia Lin was furious with the rich guy's response but didn't question anything. She just accused Zhang Yi of causing this confusion. Zhang Yi didn't bother and ignored the rest. Tia Lin was so furious that she called Zhang Yi personally to complain. He threatened her that if she kept talking nonsense and bothering him, he would kill her. Trembling with fear, she hung up and didn't say anything else in the group. While he was eating, a loud noise came from the front door, and Chen Jing outside shouted, "You were acting all high and mighty in the chat, putting others against me in the group. I'm going to kill you now, punk." Zhang Yi grabbed his bow and went to the door, while Chen Zheng was kicking. Magically aiming through the door opening, he asked about who would kill whom first. Zhang Yi hit Chen Zheng's shin with an arrow. Through the peephole, he saw the arrogant guy on the floor, groaning in pain non-stop. No one would imagine that a silly and naive boy, an honest person, would have the courage to react like this. Chen Zheng didn't know that this was just the beginning of Zhang Yi's revenge. With the cold temperature, Chen Zheng could die if not treated in time. He would slowly die from infection, and weak would die from the cold. Struggling to reach the elevator, he didn't imagine that this kid he had seen 3 times in his life would do this to him. The truth is that Zhang Yi wanted to kill him at once. Realizing this, he got scared, grabbed the phone, and called an emergency, but because of the snow, any assistance was impossible. So he treated himself, taking advantage of the cold and numb leg. He removed the arrow himself, then picked up the phone again to threaten in the owner's group, telling Zhang Yi to watch his words. "Chen Jing will kill you." Fearlessly, Zhang Yi responded confidently, "Come here again, and I'll kill you." This conversation left the curious ones in the chat group horrified. After all, no one in the region would have the courage to go against Chen Zheng. This was the first time someone directly confronted the guy. Furious, he grabbed the phone and called all his employees. In no time, a herd of people, each holding their own weapon, arrived at his house. Baldy led them all to Zhang Yi's door. "Zhang Yi, you offended our big bro. "Today is the day of your death." Attacking the door that was supposed to be made of wood, his sword broke, and he flew, spinning away. Scared, Baldy said that this door is made of pure metal. How many enemies does this kid have? His house is more protected than a bank. Watching the security cameras, Zhang Yi said they seemed weak and must be hungry. The group of people, angrier and angrier. Zhang Yi had the idea of grabbing a water hose and turning it on from the kitchen tap. The workers outside saw the door opening passage, not understanding anything because it wasn't an arrow, so there was no danger. The hose sprayed cold water on all of them. A bunch of them fell to the frozen ground. Only a few managed to escape. This scene left Zhang Yi quite satisfied. In this freezing cold, cold water is more dangerous than weapons. In Chen Jing's house, 3 of them who escaped huddled together, trembling with cold. He angrily asked, "What happened?" An entire group couldn't catch a boy. The 3 explained that Zhang Yi was very clever. He put a burglar-proof steel door in the apartment. He sprayed cold water on all of us through a hole in the door. Chen Jing said he can't hide there forever. Put some men to guard his door day and night. When he needs to leave the house, get him and bring him. At the building's entrance, Uncle Yu led some people to clear the snow at the residential area's entrance, planning to dig a path to the supermarket to restock food. But they realized that, as Zhang Yi said, they couldn't dig as fast as the snow fell. After a while, they gave up and prepared to return. Watching this, Zhang Yi said that human power can't beat one of this size. Even though the television is reassuring all citizens that the country is winning the snow disaster, Zhang Yi is the only one who knows that 95% of the global population froze to death in this snow disaster. His lifelong passion sends a message asking if he's okay. If she didn't know the truth, she could be here with him in luxury. Zhang Yi says he's fine. She says she's out of food and reminds him that he bought a lot of stuff. "Give me some, and later I'll invite you to dinner here." Slyly, Zhang Yi sends a photo of a lobster and says it's already being served for dinner. Seeing this, she gets annoyed, thinking that's why he's single. His chances with her are over now. Her best friend takes the opportunity to send a message too, saying, "You made Fang Yuqin sad now." Seeing this message, Zhang Yi says that this little drama is weak. The best friend gives up, saying that the snow won't last long. Why can't he help his lovely neighbors? He might even win Fang Yuqin over. That would be great for him. Zhang Yi ignores and responds with just an "oh." This pisses off the other bitch too. This loser suddenly turned so Alpha Sigma Red Pill? Yuqing gives up trying to figure out why his loser attitude changed so suddenly. They have the idea that if this loser isn't served anymore, they can use another one with less money. Yuqing called another loser, Zhou Ping. He came running and brought a big bag of supplies, saying it's all the food he has. Before Yuqing could fool another sucker, her friend slammed the door in his face. From the bitch's expression, she didn't even care. She was just thinking about getting revenge on Zhang Yi for ignoring her. With this additional bag, 5 days passed, and the snow kept increasing. While eating a piece of chicken while waiting for the real drama to begin, all the buildings were in the dark with the electricity cut off. Soon, neighbors started coming out of their homes, asking each other if they had electricity. Now, with water and electricity cut off, the heaters no longer worked. It was getting cold enough to die inside under the blankets. Before finishing the chicken, Zhang Yi was picking his teeth and turning on the generator he had bought before, or stolen, because he also did that at the warehouse. Neighborhood committee member Aunt Lin is trembling as she holds her grandson. She never expected the snowstorm to last so long. A message arrives in the group that only she has. Someone saying that this is a global snowstorm that occurs once every 100,000 years. We could be on the brink of a mass extinction event. Several important cities in the country have already been affected. Everyone must stock up on more supplies. Reading this, Aunt Lin was shocked. She never imagined the snow disaster would be so severe. Then she thought of a plan. She needs to make all residents give up their food before they receive this news. Aunt Lin posts a message in the owners group saying not to worry. This disaster is temporary. Workers are currently repairing the water and power interruptions. The authorities have issued an order. Because of these extraordinary circumstances, the neighborhood committee will manage all property owners. Those who do not cooperate will be arrested and interrogated by the police. Seeing this message, everyone becomes dissatisfied, especially Chen Zheng. But even if he is influential, if it's a police order, he has to obey. Meanwhile, Tialin continues in the group chat. Due to the seriousness of the snowstorm, the neighborhood committee has decided to collect all supplies from each owner and distribute them equally to everyone to help overcome this crisis. Upon seeing this message, Zhang Yi remembers that she did the same thing in her past life and stole food from all the residents. Tialin's mistake was sending a message privately to Zhang Yi saying, "My nephew, you work in the warehouse. I saw you last time buying 3 truckloads of stuff. You must have stocked up a lot of food. It's your turn to do your part." Zhang Yi, angry, immediately replies with an audio message, "You armed bitch. Liar, guys. He says he ate too much and ran out of supplies at home. When she collects from the building, come share some with me. Hearing this audio made the old lady almost have a heart attack from anger. How could he have ruined everything so quickly? But realizing that she and her grandson are in dire straits and depend on Zhang Yi, the lady calms down and responds kindly. This is an order from the organization. You have to obey. After the snow passes, I will report your good deeds to the organization. If Zhang Yi hadn't died the last time in his life, he would have believed her. So he responds, picking his teeth, Aunt, I'm not lying. I have nothing to eat at home, and I'm hungry. How about you send me some instant noodles, please? Upon hearing this, Tia Lin couldn't hold back and replied to Zhang Yi, refusing to surrender your supplies is the same as going against the organization. I will definitely report you all. Zhang Yi dismissed her and said she was nothing. This made Tia Lin so nervous that she slammed her phone against the wall, furious with Zhang Yi just like her. After not getting any advantage, Tia Lin focused on the other owners. If she could deceive some of them, it would be enough. 2 days later, with Tia Lin lying, several owners sent their supplies to the old lady's house. Seeing this situation, Zhang Yi thought that everyone was stupid, believing in someone in this post-apocalyptic world. After so long, the whole world must be in chaos. Not enough food. People could only wait to starve to death or hunt for food. Many owners began tagging Tia Lin in the chat, asking about the supplies that were supposed to be distributed equally. Many of us have no food at home. I want food, or I'll eat you, Tia Lin. The crooked trustee responded to the demands, mocking, You idiots. These supplies were obtained through my hard work. Why should I give them away? At that moment, her phone rang and, seeing that it was Chen Zheng, she began to sweat cold. What do you want with an old lady? Chen Zheng said coldly. Tia Lin, you really tricked and took everyone's supplies to your house. She pretended to be innocent, saying it was the arrangement of the community committee and that she was just doing her duty. Chen Zheng then said that this is perfect. 10 of them are waiting for her to distribute the supplies. Hearing this, Tia Lin tried to argue, saying, these supplies have not been sorted yet. Some owners have not yet handed in their supplies, so we cannot start distributing them yet. So, alright, Chen Zheng, along with his starving companions, stormed her house. There is no more law in this chaos, and he smacks the old lady in the face. Today, he will be the justice. Meanwhile, Zhang Yi watched everything on the surveillance cameras, calmly eating a sausage. He also had the idea to record the action at Tia Lin's house and share it in the building group chat. Seeing that they were going to take all the food and leave nothing behind, she tried to stop Chen Zheng. Some of the supplies here are the ones I personally stocked. Without these supplies, how will she and her grandson survive? Chen Zheng said, fuck it, and kicked the old lady. The grandson, in shock, grabbed a bread knife to defend his grandmother, and he stabbed a guy's dick. After feeling the pain, the worker kicked the boy in the chest, while others laughed at him. Chen Zheng didn't show concern for this, and even said that this is what she deserves for deceiving us. We are just delivering justice. Through the residents group, watching everything, they also applauded and enjoyed it. You old liar, that's how you deal with scammers. They thanked Chen Zheng. Seeing these messages, Zhang Yi said that these idiots don't understand the real problem. Today, Chen Zheng invaded old lady Lin's house. Tomorrow, he may invade yours. But since all of this doesn't represent a risk for Zhang Yi, he says he doesn't care. His steel door will never fall to these guys. After a while, Tia Lin was asking for help in the residents group. Does anyone have hemostatic drugs, wound medicine, and antibiotics? My grandson was shot by Chen Zheng. Dr. Xiaohu urgently needs these medicines for the grandson's surgery. Upon hearing this, Zhang Yi's eyes widened. Dr. Xiaohu was a kind doctor in his past life. Here we see why his eyes are turned in different directions. Tia Lin made an appeal for medicine, promising gratitude to anyone willing to provide it. But all she received was a lull from the residents. No one wanted to believe or help. Zhang Yi, seeing this, just thought it must be karma. Outside, the snowstorm lasted for over a week, paralyzing practically everything with snow, covering the entire ground floor. Even if the boy was saved by the doctor, would he live without food? Many people have heard from the news that this was a global snowstorm that occurs once every 100,000 years. The whole world was almost buried in the snowstorm. In some northern cities, the temperature dropped to less than 100 degrees C. Many residents who tried to evacuate to the south ended up freezing to death on the way. In the residents group, Tia Lin started asking for help again. My dear grandson has been hungry for 2 days. He's just a child. Are you going to sit there and watch him die? She was willing to pay for the supplies. Seeing this, the residents started selling packs of instant noodles for $2,000, and then they helped her grandson. Zhang Yi, as always, watching everything, found it amusing. People don't understand the apocalypse in front of them. Soon, they will have to eat money. As a rich person and knowledgeable about things, Xingzong started buying food from everyone who sold it for a lot of money. He knew very well that you can't eat money in this apocalyptic world. A single mother made an appeal for help in the group as well. Her daughter was about to starve to death, and she hoped everyone could help her. Zhang Yi says that this woman in his past life, with her daughter, survived for a long time, so it's all good. It had been 10 days since the freezing. Zhang Yi, as always, was at home, enjoying the comfort. At this moment, the phone rang. Seeing who it was, he chuckled. He opened the video call and said they seemed thinner. So are they eating well? The sight of the chicken made both of them drool instantly, and they asked why he still has so much food at home. And with this cold, why is he sweating? Mockingly, he says he has a fireplace at home. It's very warm, and he jokes that he's even thinking of going for a run outside to get some fresh air. Yu Qing, drooling over Zhang Yi, saying he's amazing, asked to take a bath inside with him. Without thinking twice, he rejected the invitation and even made a joke. The girl instantly became angry at Zhang Yi's words. It's okay if you don't want to help, but mocking them is not cool. So, is that how it is? You still think I'm a loser? Zhang Yi asked. If you want food, go find your rich boy. And he hung up the call. On the other end, Yu Qing got so pissed off that she threw her phone on the ground. Her loser wasn't a loser anymore. Her best friend still praised Zhang Yi. This guy is awesome. It's her loss for not enjoying the stuff at his place right now. He's better than the rich boys they used to hang out with. The two ended up in a fistfight because the girl wouldn't accept being called dumb. Meanwhile, the government stopped hiding the news of the snow disaster and issued a TV announcement. To meet everyone's electricity needs, power supply would only be available at night, and even then, the voltage would be sufficient only for low-power devices. Currently, all major power plants are shut down, and electricity is scarce. Everyone should use only their cell phones and a lamp or two. No electric showers. Everyone now knows that the ice disaster has no end date. After fighting for 10 minutes without losing their friendship, Yu Qing and her friend decided to be more direct. Yu Qing picked up the phone and called the loser, Zhou Peng, telling a story about how Zhang Yi wanted to tarnish his purity just because he had food. Zhou Peng, pissed off upon hearing this, said Zhang Yi was a scumbag and needed to be taken down. Seeing that Zhou Peng was furious, Yu Qing went further and misled the loser into going to rob Zhang Yi's house now. In no time, the three of them were at his door, each with a kitchen knife hidden, knocking. Watching everything through the cameras, Zhang Yi saw the ultimate loser and knew none of them had any idea about the cameras. They knocked and asked to exchange the medicine they had for food. Angry at their attempt to trick him, Zhang Yi decided to be aggressive. Grabbing the hose to spray water on them and end the problems, he changed his mind when he saw the accumulated trash can. His idea was obvious, but magically, I don't know how, he with the hose sprayed sewage on the three, leaving everything full of garbage and saying that's the food they deserve, they can eat. Zhou Peng, furious, struck the door but didn't scratch it. His hand was hurt. Laughing it off, Zhang Yi said through the speaker that the door is made of steel and they can't open it. After a while, Zhang Yi gave up on them and went to sleep. However, he suddenly woke up to the sound of a gunshot. Even though he knew that sooner or later the law of the jungle would be put into practice, the sudden shot still startled him. Checking the surveillance camera images on the tablet, he realized that Chen Zheng and his employees were going from house to house, stealing supplies. Many met the same fate he had in his past life during the apocalypse. He even sent photos of what he could do to the building groups and claimed that he now controlled all the buildings. Watching the situation through the surveillance cameras, a new group was formed, where several residents denounced Chen Zheng's actions in the chat, stating the need to go against him soon. Zhang Yi was also added to the group and read the messages, having fun with it all. A retired veteran proposed leading an attack against Chen Zheng, receiving support. The veteran uncle suggested that they needed young volunteers to ensure security and weapons. A woman in the chat immediately sent an audio asking, Aunt Lin stole from them the other day. Can we trust Uncle and give him weapons? This divided the residents into two groups, with half wanting to go after Chen Zheng and the others just not trusting Uncle. Watching the discussion in the group chat, eating something sometimes, and watching through the cameras as Chen Zheng stole more and more houses, Zhang Yi decided he should do something to take this guy down because anyone who goes against him will just end up taking a bullet to the head. That's not fair to everyone. The next morning, a resident who opposed helping the veteran go after Chen Zheng called for help in the residents group. Her door was being forced open, and she would be next. It didn't take long before she was dragged out, and what had to happen happened. Yu Qing and her friends, nervous, realized they needed a plan to be the next ones to be broken into. The girl's idea was to spread the news that Zhang Yi had a stockpile of supplies and gather everyone to join forces to take over his house. They added him to the new group so he would know, but Zhang Yi didn't care and said it's okay. They argued that he should join forces with the four to protect themselves from Chen Zhang. Zhang Yi's response was simply to leave the group. This change in Zhang Yi's attitude left Yu Qing and the others astounded. How could this loser from just 3 months ago now be so firm? They began discussing how to break into Zhang Yi's house and steal his fortress. The smart glasses guy says to open the door. His friend here knows how to pick locks. They decided to try to break the lock and placed umbrellas so they wouldn't get showered with water or garbage again. Zhang Yi, watching through the surveillance cameras, activated the high-voltage defense feature. The clever lockpicker had just admitted that this lock couldn't be opened. The kid practically exploded in shock and died. Seeing this, Zhang Yi felt no remorse for killing these guys. The smart guy with glasses pointed to the door, cursed Zhang Yi as a damn monster, and told him to get out now. Hearing this, he just laughed, grabbed his crossbow, and aiming through the door, hit the left arm of the smart guy's man squarely. The other two went to help the injured and were also hit, the loser and another crazy guy. Yu Qing and the others fled and returned home from where they came. The three hit by arrows were lying on the ground, groaning in pain. One of the girls slapped the slut Yu Qing's face and said it was all her fault. She didn't mention that he had crossbows at home, his crossbow. She argues that she didn't know. Last time, he just sprayed water and garbage. Zhou Peng, the loser as always, defends the slut. Besides, the smart guy remembers that the most important thing is to take care of the wounds. They called, and Dr. Zhou Kier came to check the wounds of the injured people. Surprised, she explained that with the wounds so deep and without professional equipment, they have less than 20%. Furthermore, the iron arrow was rusty, and without antibiotics, it's certain death. The girl, who is a relative of one of the dumb kids, cries at the news and says that Zhang Yi is very cruel and did it on purpose. Until now, Dr. Kuti doesn't know who this is. Zhou Kier leaves the warning. Get medicine soon. If they remove the arrows now, it's over for them. The smart guy with glasses, at this point, must have gone crazy and said Zhang Yi must get the medicine for them. Yu Qing, thinking for once in her life, remembers that Zhang Yi suddenly changed a lot and started stocking up a lot of stuff at home. She tells the others that Zhang Yi does have medicine because she saw him stocking it before. Furthermore, no one here harmed him. They just wanted to rob his house. But since they failed, and only they got hurt, it's his fault. From the corner, there Zhou Kier, listening to everything, just thinks she doesn't know this guy, but they deserve to die anyway. The other girl blames Yu Qing for everything, and forces the slut to figure out how to convince Zhang Yi to give medicine to everyone. This time, even the loser agreed. Without the medicine, he would die too. The plan now was to try to call him, which he answered easily. She is crying on the phone and says the boys are dying, and if he can help, Zhang Yi just asks why he should. Everyone has to die sooner or later. The crazy guy's sister takes the phone to say it's his duty to help because he injured the guys, and they were rusty. Zhang Yi then says that he used arrows like that just for them to die anyway. To add insult to injury, he even says he won't help, but Yu Qing can come live with him. At that moment, the girl takes the phone back and says yes, he's yours from now on. Do whatever you want with her, says Zhang Yi. Her blood-sucking friend says to take her too. Zhang Yi says, just come, you can come now. He starts running right away to go. Her friend tries to pull her, and she just gets a push. Get away from me, you bitch, the cousin of one of the boys says, then gives her another slap in the face and calls her a schemer. As always, the slut looks at Zhou Peng, too much of a loser, and asks for his help. He has to make them let her go and be happy with Zhang Yi. She also says that Zhou Peng is a good man, but he's poor and weak. Zhang Yi's brother is the one who can make her happy now. The kid even falls in pain now. She bolted, trying to go to Zhang Yi's house, but the others stopped her. The reason is that everything is her fault, so Yu Qing doesn't have the right to thrive alone. Dr. Zhou Kier reminds them again that without medicine, it's certain death and leaves. One of the injured kids, the smarty there, says they should go ahead with the plan to spread the word that Zhang Yi has plenty of food. The smart one says that when Chen Zhang and the others take Zhang Yi's house, they can get medicine. Yu Qing is against doing this to Zhang Yi's brother. The other girl makes it clear that if she opens her mouth, she'll lose her teeth now. Zhou Peng is against hitting the bitch, but says to her that this plan is the only choice. They posted in the building group the photos and videos that Zhang Yi sent. He really has a lot of food. Seeing the message, Chen Zhang drools and says, "That's perfect. I can get revenge for the leg." In the residence group, people asked Zhang Yi to distribute his supplies to everyone. Others asked for just one meal. Aunt Lin asked for food, and another mother in the group asked him to be her son's godfather. Seeing these requests, Zhang Yi sends an audio message to the group. "I'm eating those listening. He really said he wouldn't feed animals and wouldn't help anyone anyway." Ignoring them all, Zhang Yi looks at the snow falling outside the window and thinks, staying home every day is boring. It would be nice to use the snowmobile store to take a ride around. Suddenly, the phone receives a message from Dr. Jo Kier. She says her medicine and food ran out, and if he wants to negotiate. In her previous life, she died because she gave her last food to a mother with a hungry baby, and she starved to death. Zhang Yi remembers her as a good person, but says that the smarter the woman, the more dangerous she will be. Zhang Yi doesn't want to leave anything to chance and end up dying again. He replied, "I can provide supplies, but you need to trade something for them." Seeing the message, Jo Kier says he can give her food for participating in a consultation with her. Look how cute she is, thinking she doesn't even know this guy. And now, Zhang Yi says instead he can provide medicine and food, but she needs to do him a favor. Zhang Yi needs her to be his spy and inform him of the residents' plans. The deal is that, accepting it or not, it's her choice to follow the crowd and die like everyone else or stand by his side. She wonders for a moment if this is right, but decides to accept. The first step is taken, guys. Our Zhang Yi has a lot of food, but lacks food, doesn't he? Then the smart guy with glasses sent a final threat. "Zhang Yi, where are you? Last chance, are you going to deliver the supplies or not?" Seeing the message, Zhang Yi trolls in the group, saying that his food just ran out. The wounded smart guy threatens him, and soon, Chen Zheng makes a group without Zhang Yi, planning to join together to steal everything he has. Jo Kier and Uncle Yu are in the group and decide to warn Zhang Yi about it. With that, Zhang Yi is sure that Dr. Jo Kier was cooperating with him. Zhang Yi tells her that he has plans to defend himself, just don't be with the herd. It was 2:30 in the morning when a group of armed people marched home, shouting that they had to kill the selfish one. They hammered the door with all their might. Seeing this through the security cameras, Zhang Yi turned on the high-voltage device. Those who were close were electrocuted and died. What a pity. The others were scared and wanted to flee. However, as soon as they turned around, they were blocked by Chen Zheng and his gang. He ordered them to continue breaking the door, or they would die. To motivate the residents, the smart one with glasses said that now they have to kill Zhang Yi to avenge the neighbors he just killed. Besides, inside there's a fireplace and plenty of food. Encouraged, the residents grabbed a wooden log and continued trying to break down the door. Zhang Yi, after some time drinking wine, decides to help them. He took out his sound system, played action music, and said that this was to motivate them. Listening to the music and with more anger, 20 minutes later, the door was only scratched, and the guys were fainting from hunger and exhaustion. The residents, who didn't even know the door was made of steel, were puzzled. One of them goes there to inspect with a magnifying glass and says it's the same material as bank vaults. A door like this, not even a tank could knock down. Zhang Yi, on the other side of the door with his crossbow ready, only aimed well at the throat. The guy was agonizing there, and the other neighbors ran, shouting that he had weapons. Somehow, Zhang Yi hit the people who weren't even facing his door. The technology mysteries that, behind the door, Zhang Yi felt no guilt for it, just self-defense. The smarty with glasses who survived after calming down says he has a plan. The door is steel and thick, but the wall is still made of cement bricks. The neighbors seemed to understand and started hammering the wall next to the door. Cracks began to appear in the wall, and then a metallic sound with an impact occurred. The guy with glasses lost fear of the arrows on the side of the door and went to check. The walls are also lined with steel. Everyone was shocked. Why on earth would someone put steel in the walls? Someone who knew this situation was going to happen. They tried to break several other places in the walls, and every corner had metal. They went to the apartment above and below his, and as expected, there was metal everywhere. This miserable man has an impenetrable fortress. Without tools, it was impossible to drill through the walls. The neighbors realized that Zhang Yi must have known about the apocalypse to have built such a complex fortress. Everyone was in despair, saying that Zhang Yi was selfish and only thought of himself. Two residents looked at each other hungrily, and for a second, thought about eating each other. But it passed. One of the neighbors says he remembers that his apartment's balcony is made of glass. This idea made everyone excited again. Using wooden planks from the neighboring apartment to his, Zhang Yi sat calmly while everyone together gathered on the balcony. Unfortunately for them, the glass was bulletproof, and they couldn't even scratch it. To help them warm up because it's very cold outside, Zhang Yi took a Molotov cocktail and threw it into a hole in the wall, which soon fell from the ceiling on their heads. In the element's view, it was 1 second of terror, and then many of pain, catching fire completely. In agony, he jumped from the balcony. The fire spread, and everyone else was also protected against the cold, while Zhang Yi watched everything. The others tried to go back to the apartment next door. However, the others didn't let them, for fear of burning themselves too. They fell off the planks, and any of those who didn't fall took the opportunity to warm up a little. After a while, the repentant residents returned to his balcony in front of the glass, begging for food. As in his past life, they ate. He doesn't even feel sorry for them. Hess shows them warm pasta to see them drooling. He even puts it on a table right in front of them. Zhang Yi then told them that for whoever brings Chen Zheng's head will receive food for a week. Hearing this, everyone looked eagerly at Chen Zheng in the neighboring apartment. Even those who were behind him heard Zhang Yi's words. Killing Chen Zheng means food and drink for a week. Chen Zheng even locked the door with everyone's gaze, but before he could get closer, his men and the gun in his hand stopped him. At this point, Zhang Yi put the reward notice in the owner's group. Anyone who could kill Chen Zheng would receive a week of food. The next morning, the skinny ones were waiting to ambush their food. Even if he had a pistol, they could surprise him. Chen Zheng and his loyal followers were attacked from behind, but the result was that both were lying on the ground. The boss ordered them to be stored as food, and one of his men saw that the boss was wounded in the back in this attack. Chen Zheng called Zhou Qir to come treat his wound. Soon she was doing the dressing and said it wasn't for free. Chen Zheng says she can eat with them. Seeing what the soup everyone was about to eat was made of, she says she prefers to starve to death. Chen Zheng at least says that she would be the last person to become food in this building. Ignoring this nonsense, she tried to leave. However, Chen Zheng said that only after he was healed could she leave. She sat in the corner of the room while the men resumed discussing their plans to get Zhang Yi. Man, look at how far human beings go in extreme situations. If Chen Zheng hadn't been injured and still needed her, I bet he would force more things, you know? She, after hearing the plans, said she was going to the bathroom, but she was actually there to tell Zhang Yi what she heard. Later, Chen Zheng's men went to the neighboring apartment to get food and steal. They let them in and didn't imagine the food was for them. With a blow to the head of the couple, they killed them, but to make sure, they hit more. Chen Zheng tells our doctor that he can't have predators around his house, as they might try to hunt him down. Zhou Qir is starting to see how things are. In the house where the friends of the slutty Yuqing are, they had to remove the arrows without any medicine. Everyone has serious infections. Maybe the cold is taking away some of the pain. Zhou Peng asks his cousin to try to convince Zhang Yi one more time, but she says it's useless. There's no way. Days go by, and Zhang Yi only eats and sees Chen Zheng afraid of being ambushed again. As he eats more and more, Zhang Yi calls Zhou Qir to ask about her situation. She says Chen Zheng went crazy. Everyone's food ran out. They're invading houses every day to kill everyone and search for food, besides keeping the dead for later. She hasn't eaten anything for days and asks if he can save her. He thinks for a moment that she's very useful for being a competent doctor. In the post-apocalyptic world, doctors are treasures. So, Zhang Yi says she can come to his house after doing one last thing. A while later, Zhou Peng goes to pound his door, desperate. He says his love, Yuqing, is starving. He went to Zhang Yi's door, asking for food for the girl who used and rejected him. Zhang Yi also says that tetanus is already advanced in him. Medicines won't work anymore. As he walks back home, he remembers he never even held Slutty's hand. So instead of waiting for death, he ran to Yuqing's room, kneeled down, and asked her to marry him. She, disgusted, threw him away. The loser grabbed her by the neck, saying they'd get married in hell then. She slapped him in the face, saying she belonged to Zhang Yi. Zhen Peng then says he'll have to go to hell to get her. Then we go back to Dr. Zhou Qir. She told the men she would make a decent meal for them today. They won't even notice it's not regular meat. Pleased, they thought she forgot about pride. She tells them she doesn't want to die as much as they do. After helping a little, she says she'll take care of the rest alone. Putting something in the soup and stirring well, she had to make an effort not to vomit right there. Sometime later, she served everyone. The soup looked really nice, everyone said. To gain their trust, Zhou Qir also served herself a bowl of soup and went back to her room. Hoping her medicine would take effect, she put a whole vial of sleeping pills in it, and in minutes everyone was asleep. Relieved it worked, she sent a message saying everyone was asleep. What should she do next? Zhang Yi's order is to take everyone to the balcony. He was watching everything from the other side. Feeling cold, she asks if he intends to kill them. Hearing this, he threw a rope and said, "It's more or less that. She should tie everyone to the balcony railing." She says he could at least help, but he says she's the one being tested here. Tying everyone to the railing, she grabbed Chen Zheng's gun. Worried, he warned her to remove the magazine and throw the gun at him. She even tried to bargain if she should trust him, but with the argument that it's her only choice. Zhou Qir obeyed and threw the gun at Zhang Yi. After receiving the gun, he examined it, confirming it was the same one Chen Zheng used. Then he went back to the room, grabbed a water hose, and from there, he threw water onto the balcony, without even warning Zhou Qir. She entered the apartment while the water was falling, and in a short time, Chen Zheng and everyone else woke up screaming. Looking at their hands and feet tied together, he realized he had been drugged. All he could do was curse Zhang Yi a few times. After a few sprays of water, Chen Zheng turned into a popsicle. Dr. Zhou Qir, too weak even to stand up, calls and says it's all done. After a few minutes, our beautiful doctor was at Zhang Yi's door, observing through the cameras. Even though everything has gone well so far, he wanted to make sure there were no risks. She should open the heavy door and enter while he pointed the gun. She finally entered and fell to the floor. Just the warmth inside the apartment was good enough. Approaching from behind, Zhang Yi says it's not over yet. He has to make sure they're not hiding anything from each other. He has to be sure of that, and she knows how to do it. Blushing, she knows what she has to do. Jo Kier takes off everything and remains only in her underwear. Now that he can see she's not hiding anything, Zhang Yi says it's perfect now, leading her to the room where she must take a shower and change her dirty clothes. When he heard the sound of the shower, he took all the items from the medical kit and confiscated them. It was always better to be cautious. A pleasant time later, Jo Kier, dressed in pajamas, came out of the bathroom, a sight that moved Zhang Yi. He asked her to sit down and dry her hair. He says he let her go because she's valuable to him. If she doesn't obey the rules, he won't show any mercy. Her room will be that one. From now on, you'll live there. Without my permission, you're not allowed to wander. She was aware of the consequences. Zhang Yi says that in this chaotic world, the best thing she did was join him. To reinforce the trust between them, Zhang Yi decides to reveal his secret and ensure Jo Kier's loyalty. In this house, she can see that there is no food. The reason he is so prepared for everything is that he has a power nobody knows about. He took bread from the dimensional storeroom in front of her. If she betrays or kills him, she will no longer have food and will starve to death. Seeing this, he understood how Zhang Yi was living so comfortably. She ate and even cried with emotion, almost choking with such haste. Now that she is clean, without hunger or thirst, Jo Kier will be responsible for all household chores. Before she could accept, the scoundrel interrupted, asking what else she could offer. Being an intelligent person, she knew what he wanted. Zhang Yi's eyes even widened with the sight. Besides companionship and help with the tasks, now they would be a couple. Like any couple, they would have their moment of exercise together, and our beautiful doctor, Jo Kier, would have plenty of food. The next day, looking at Jo Kier still sleeping, Zhang Yi says she must have been very tired from last night. Having a woman around when they can't leave the house anymore is very pleasant. She dressed, and they went to have breakfast, a life with more luxury than before the apocalypse. Zhang Yi threw one of the special cold coats to her. Going outside, Zhang Yi said she still has work to do. He handed her the baseball bat, even though she helped freeze the guys outside. Now Jo Kier must go there and destroy the frozen bodies. Without explaining why, she went there without hesitation and started to bash the popsicles. Meanwhile, Zhang Yi filmed all the hard work of the doctor. Not caring about being filmed, she continued to hammer. The purpose of the recording was to send it to the residents group and show everyone that Chen Zheng, the guy who was terrorizing everyone, is now in pieces. The people in their homes didn't even think to criticize or ask why the doctor was there. They just praised and celebrated. Pleased with how things turned out, Zhang Yi received a call from Yu Qing. Zhang Yi says he didn't know she was still alive. The girl with a crazy look says she heard about Chen Zheng's death and is now ready to be his woman, and that he must be with Jo Kier because he thought she was dead. Her friends behind her were ready to kill the girl, and they both heard the screams from the other side. Zhang Yi took advantage of this to mess with her mind even more, sending a picture of Jo Kier saying that she was his fiancée. When she saw the new message, she broke free from the two girls and ran to the phone, just to see Zhang Yi and his girlfriend. The girl went insane, saying that she loves Zhang Yi more than anyone. However, Zhang Yi threw it in her face that she doesn't matter, and who he loves is the one with him now, and hung up. The poor girl's friends didn't even want to hit Yu Qing anymore. Their anger was at the girl going to live with Zhang Yi and them getting screwed, but now they're screwed together. Satisfied with how much she suffered, Zhang Yi asks his little girlfriend if he was too cruel. She says that whether he was or not doesn't matter. He has his reasons. She also heard of him for the first time when she went to help the two girls, and how they seemed crazy. If Zhang Yi did what he did, it's right. A person in the building in front decided he couldn't take it anymore and decided to fulfill his dream of jumping from the building, but that didn't even impress the two. Shortly after Zhang Yi's phone rang, on the line was his uncle Yu, happy. Zhang Yi says it's great to know he's okay. He survived everything thanks to the supplies he saved from Zhang Yi's warning. Furthermore, now he is with Shi Lemei, the single mother from before. Her son is sick, and they need medicine. Of all the people, Uncle Yu was the only person Zhang Yi would help, so he told him to come get the medicine later. After telling Jo Kier about his uncle and having his juice, someone was knocking on the door. Checking the security cameras, he saw it was his uncle and Zi Limei. That's all they had. He didn't even open the door. He threw the medicine through the opening in the door onto the floor. His uncle thanked him for the help, but the woman wanted more than that. She knows he has a fireplace and asked to come in. Her baby needs to warm up. At this point, Zhang Yi says it's screwed. He didn't want to hurt Uncle Yu, but above all, safety comes first. He lied that the coal ran out, and now he and his girlfriend have 7 or 8 coats to keep warm. Uncle didn't want to bother Zhang Yi anymore, but the woman insisted more and more on coming in because they couldn't if Jo Kier the doctor was with him. Zhang Yi's argument was that she's engaged to him, and that's why she's here. She blushed all over, hearing that. Finally, Uncle Yu got tired of hearing it and said that's enough. Just the medicine was great, they still have food. After sending them away, Zhang Yi was even tired. This woman in his past life survived for nothing. Since this conversation tired him out, he went to rest on his girlfriend's lap and have a great view. Zhang Yi thinks that Zhi Mei being around could even mess up his plans. It's no wonder that when they returned home, Uncle came to ask why she was abusing his nephew's trust. She even says it's all for the baby's best interest, but Uncle reminds her that he owes his nephew. If it weren't for him telling him to save food before the apocalypse, he would have nothing. Instead of agreeing, Zhi Mei claimed that Zhang Yi didn't give medicine to help. Everything was for him to collect favors later, saying that Zhang Yi is a selfish man. Uncle, hearing this, shouted that everything has limits. He may be old, but he's not stupid. If she badmouths him again, she'll be alone. The smart woman let the subject drop. The following morning, people from another building dug a tunnel under the snow to Zhang Yi's building. Everyone they encountered was seen as enemies, and the first unlucky one received a single shot and flipped over. They were aware of the sturdy door and brought dynamite to open it. One of them lit it, ran, and the damage from the explosion was done. The absurd noise of this explosion woke Zhang Yi up, and he quickly went to check what was happening. Through the cameras, he saw construction workers who lived nearby. They came to check, certain that the explosion would destroy the door, but nothing happened. Angry at this attempt to take what he had, Zhang Yi retaliated maliciously. A grenade simply solved their cold problem. After warming them all up, Zhang Yi used his Glock and put several to sleep. His bullets were running out because his ballistic supplies were few, and this confirmed to him that people from other buildings must know about his stockpile and are coming after it too. These explosions and shots left our lovely doctor frightened. After all, there's only one place in the world where it's normal to hear these noises every day. Embarrassed, she disguised it and went to do her job. Now it was clear to Zhang Yi that he should take action. In the residence group, everyone was asking about the noise from before. Zhang Yi, smart as always, said it was residents from another building who tried to blow up his house and were soon going to rob the others, but he kicked them out of the building and some from this life. Everyone thanked Zhang Yi for this. He called his uncle to get more information. This group that came now is from building 26 and is led by someone named Wang Tianfang. The uncle's information is that he did the same thing Chen Zheng did in this building, overturned the residents, took control of the place, and also stole food. Zhang Yi made it clear to his uncle that he overturned many, so they will come back for revenge and try something. So they must unite the neighboring residents and defend themselves. Then, speaking only with Jokir, Zhang Yi said that the neighbors, if given the chance, will stab him in the back. She must take on the mission of gathering information about the other buildings groups together with Uncle Yu. Only 2 days passed, and now she was dressed as a maid and reporting everything her intelligence service found out. Stop looking in the wrong place and pay attention. Jokir explains that the strongest groups dominating the neighborhood are the group from building 26 that came here 2 days ago, and another group from building 21. Still, a group from 2 other buildings must have strength, but they haven't done anything yet. With just this, Zhang Yi deduced that the residents of the other buildings have already turned on each other instead of uniting and are no longer a threat. Grateful for the good work, he tells her to continue collecting information, and for some reason, she blushes, perhaps thinking something else would happen. The same group from building 26 returned to the building, and this time they started overturning people from the other apartments in the building and left the message that until Zhang Yi leaves, all the building's residents will die. Soon, this news spread and disrupted our couple's exercise. The building's residents were demanding that Zhang Yi take action. Seeing this, that anger returned. He sent texts and audio messages saying that everyone's life means nothing to him, and they must defend themselves alone. Shortly after, Zhang Yi called his uncle, saying that now it's his turn to shine. In the building group, he said that the gang from building 26 is only 20 people. If they join forces, they can fight against them. Speaking, everyone agreed that they had to do it. He also said in the chat that he hasn't been eating well for days. The only one who is young, strong, and well-fed is Zhang Yi. He is the only one with the strength to lead everyone. With this, Zhang Yi sent a message in the chat that he can help everyone face the rival building as long as everyone follows his orders. Everyone said they accept following orders that don't endanger their lives. Calm in his home, eating better than us. Zhang Yi says they'll have to take the risks. Yes. Otherwise, they should just wait for the group from building 26 to come and kill everyone. With Uncle Yu on one side encouraging them to agree to follow Zhang Yi, they accepted to obey. To motivate the hungry, he mentioned that there are vehicles that can travel outside in the snow. If they confront the group from building 26, he can fetch food for them. All the neighbors agreed to obey everything, even the most dangerous things, hoping not to be killed by the neighbors, and mainly to gain food. Now everyone agrees to put Zhang Yi as the leader of the building. Now that everyone sees him as a savior, Zhang Yi will make his first exploration outside. With his special cold vests and clothes, he won't have any problems. When Jokir was about to say she would go with him, Zhang Yi said no. She should never leave the apartment, and he trusts her 100% to stay here without him. but as soon as he leaves, the scoundrel snaps his fingers and makes all the supplies in the apartment disappear. He descends to the 4th floor of the building, and through a window there, he manages to jump outside. So, the snow is already 4 stories high. Anyone who tries to walk here, ignoring the cold, would sink into the snow somewhere and perish. Fortunately, he had stored a snowmobile in his dimensional space. Someone in one of the buildings saw the scene. I don't know if they saw him pulling a snowmobile out of nowhere or just saw him riding it. Sometime later, he reached where he wanted to go, the Tianhui City Police Station. Breaking the glass, he entered without difficulty. His goal is to get more weapons and ammunition. Deeper into the police station, he found the officers on duty, without warm clothes or heaters. The first night of freezing was the last for them. Zhang Yi shows his respect for the officers and says they were once the heroes who protected the city. As he covers the bodies, he finds the keys to the place. With them, he can open everything here, even the weapons room. Upon entering the place, it's heaven for many people. There are all kinds of weapons and ammunition to choose from. He just put everything into his dimensional loot space. Zhang Yi says that now he needs to get food for his cannon fodder. He returns to his snowmobile and walks to where the shopping mall should be. Digging into the ground, he found the ceiling of the place. Breaking the glass and walking through the place, he stole everything that could be useful. In the supermarket, all the fruits were frozen solid by the cold, as were the meats, but this would serve those who don't even have land to eat. He threw into the bags what could be salvaged and returned to his snowmobile. Upon returning to his building, the leader of Building 26, watching him manage to go out and get food, was green with envy and eager to steal that snowmobile. Furthermore, all the residents of the building who heard the noise of the snowmobile also saw it. Uncle Yu saw that his nephew managed to return with more food. He was delighted. Zhang Yi made it clear to everyone that it was extremely difficult to go outside in such cold weather and find food buried in the snow. Uncle Yu shouted, calling Zhang Yi a hero. With this spoiled food and the gun in hand, he ordered that everyone who chooses to take food must be ready to obey his orders. The residents of Building 26, as expected, came after, saying to hand over the food or their lives. His first order was that right now, they will steal their food, go there and eliminate them. Everyone who makes a kill will receive food for 5 days. Just hearing that they could get 5 days worth of food, everyone went crazy and attacked the gang member from Building 26. They couldn't understand how the weak and fearful people suddenly went so crazy. They were overwhelmed. Zhang Yi and his fiancée watched everyone defeat the enemies and celebrate their victory. Some who survived fled back to Building 26. And the wounded on our side, Zhou Qi knew she could save them, but she knew she would need to spend medicines and food just out of kindness. She also gave up because she knew Zhang Yi wouldn't allow it. I ask here now, do you think Zhang Yi is a villain or just an anti-hero, or, I don't know, just does what it takes to survive? Because from now on, he starts to use all people in a very cunning way. He gathers everyone and congratulates them. Those who were MVP and had the most kills received their bonuses. This was premeditated to encourage everyone to strive for him. One by one, they obeyed the guy with a gun in hand and owner of the food. No one had happiness on their faces. But when it was the turn of someone Zhang Yi saw slacking off, he scorned and kicked a candy to him. He complained that this wasn't fair because he would only receive that. Zhang Yi questioned if he had the courage to complain still. The guy did nothing and just stayed behind, shouting and attacking. Those who received less food and were sad are now happy to know that there are worse off people. Trying to argue, Xu Hao said there were many people fighting and he couldn't find a way to join the fight. Zhang Yi made it clear he didn't care. Only results matter. Angrily, Xu Hao insisted that Zhang Yi was treating him specially. So Zhang Yi gave the order and 2 neighbors held the discontented guy. He just shouted, asking what happens to those who disobey the boss's orders. After making it clears what happens to those who complain, the guy taken as an example had the candy in his hand. Zhang Yi stepped on it, grabbed the candy and the poor guy's hair, and made it clear that work equals food. No work equals no food. He ordered Zhou Qi to store the rest of the supplies, since everyone had taken their shares. In the middle of the crowd, he heard a familiar voice. Fang Yu Qing and her bloodsucker friend were dragging themselves underneath. They said they hadn't gotten their food yet, and if big brother Zhang Yi hadn't forgotten about them, Zhang Yi, humble as always, said he hadn't forgotten about them. Zhou Qi stored the food, because there wasn't enough for the 2 of them. Fang Yu Qing, crying, asked why he didn't like her anymore after all these years. With a slap, he told her to get away. He never liked her, and is now engaged to the wonderful Zhou Qi. One of the women said that she was a gold-digging slut. Zhang Yi agreed, saying she always deceived rich boys to take their money. The guy who had just been humiliated said she had used him many times before. Then the other men said that if they had known she was selling herself before the apocalypse, they would have taken advantage too. After being humiliated so much, she fled. For some reason, 2 men grabbed the bloodsucker friend and dragged her somewhere else. By their expression and covering her mouth, I imagine they went to feed her. For her, Xu Hao, for telling about Fang Yu Qing, received something better to eat and now swore he would do better for the master. After the show, show, Zhang Yi began to organize the building's fortification. In the building, there are 47 people in total. Now, excluding Zhang Yi, Zhou Qi, Uncle Yu, and his wife, Shi Li Mei, the people form 6 groups of 7 people each and take turns guarding the building's stairs 24 hours a day. When enemies arrive, they should shout, make noise, and alert everyone. Uncle Yu, being a former army veteran, will organize all the groups. Back in the comfort of home, Zhang Yi was studying something, and Zhou Qi asked, if it starts to snow now, what will happen? As he took his weapons out of the dimensional loot storage, he said, they're in winter. They'll be stuck for at least a month until the snow melts. Besides, in the apocalypse, the biggest danger isn't the weather, but people. Now, with this weapon, he has a chance to fight enemies without leaving home. He noticed through the scope of the weapon that some people were heading to the garage of his building. They're definitely going after the snowmobile that Zhang Yi pretends to leave there, but actually puts in the loot storage. Uncle Yu called Zhang Yi saying the defense team was properly organized and asking not to take seriously what Shi Li Mei said last time they went to get medicine. She's a chatterbox after all. Zhang Yi said he didn't care, but asked if Uncle wanted to raise someone else's child. In difficult times, strong men are very valuable, and he could get any woman he wanted. But realizing Uncle's discomfort, Zhang Yi said Shi Li Mei is also a good woman, and if that's the case, he should knock her up too. However, Uncle said that in an apocalypse, one shouldn't think about that, and now he'll go back to work. Zhang Yi told Zhou Qi that these matters of children should be thought about calmly. In the tunnel they dug, some people from Building 26 came back secretly, planning to make hidden thefts. The first of them almost got a beating. The guard shouted enemy attack, and a brawl started on the stairs. The group from Building 26 didn't count on the fact that now Zhang Yi's building was so well protected, and the survivors fled. Outside, enjoying the good life, Zhang Yi saw the enemies fleeing and said he was really in the mood to shoot some, taking his WAP from the loot storage. Through the scope, he could see perfectly, with an absurd calmness, even knowing the result of pulling the trigger. One of the fugitives got a shot right in the head, and the others, realizing what it was, ran even more frantically.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on upcoming videos. Leave a like if you enjoyed it and share with your friends. See you in the next video. Bye for now.